My interview with Rosemary Benson, July 30th of 2020, and the Upper Hoback County Road, just above her house on the county road, just upriver. And this is one of my examples of saying it's better to say I'm glad I did rather than I wish I had. Uh, when a person is pressed for time and a busy schedule, I'm very glad to take, a few minutes to just interview my mom and to be able to see something that we may not see, perhaps even ever again. I don't know.
Perhaps in our lifetime.
In our lifetime. So this is upriver, and where the fire up here just destroyed miles and miles of forest.
And left a forest floor like that right there.
This was all one time very dense, thick, dense forest,
With,
and you couldn't
with
walk through it.
branches and dead trees and all. But after the forest fire, everything looked, all the soil, all the ground looked like that for the first spring, I suppose,
Right.
until the plants started to grow.
When we saw the fire, and just after this fire, it was pretty much heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It was so devastating. It was just heartbreaking to see the destruction that fire caused. But what is so incredibly amazing is the beauty that has come after it.
And it's not just flowers. It's like these grasses are amazing this year, and they look nice in bouquets of wildflowers, but also an awful lot of young aspen trees. If you want to turn around and show the other side of the car, that there's a whole new growth of aspens that are wanting to have a chance to come up.
Right. Okay, so tell me about your different flower types and
Well,
tell me why this is also so different this year.
it's so different because of the forest fire. Both, they say, releases a lot of nutrients back into the ground that have been tied up in the trees, and that kind of gives a chance for growth. And then the fact that more sunlight can get down, not only through the needles of the trees, but as Carl said, a whole lot of downed branches and down trees and just what you might call trash, wood trash on the forest floor. That would have kept the sunlight from getting to seeds that had accumulated over the years, and then suddenly sun gets to everything. And so behind me, the pale pink are wild hollyhocks. I used to have to go up the forest road the full length in order to maybe find a dozen or so that I wanted to pick, because I never wanted to pick everything in one spot. So I kept wanting to find a few spots where I could take something and still leave something for seed. And then this brilliant fuchsia pinky thing, that's fireweed. That's known all over North American forests as being one of the first things to come back and reclaim from a forest fire. But they certainly can hold the soil. The first year after the forest fire, when there would be a good sized rain, our rivers would turn almost charcoaly gray-black because there was nothing left to hold the ground. Now there's almost no possibility of erosion with all of this stuff growing up.
Yeah. So tell me about the different flowers.
Well, these are wild hollyhocks. Those are fireweed. The yellow, I'm not sure what it's called, but it takes over. There's about 4 or 5 different yellows through the season that I don't know if I can identify from my flower books. There's little showy daisies on the ground right in front of you that way.
Okay.
And
You
but,
said
but it's amazing to look at the dead soil there and wonder why all of this is growing right up next to it. There's not much of that. You didn't see much dead soil like this.
no, it was all like that. It was everything we saw looked like this. And I don't think either one of us ever imagined all of this would
No,
come.
No.
I mean, we didn't even imagine.
And last summer it was mild. I thought it was wonderful, but it's nothing like this summer. Next summer we're going to have cattle grazing in here.
Well, we'll see what happens. You said there was hyssop and some holly?
No.
Lilies. You said lilies and hyssop?
Up on our hillside there were some Mariposa lilies, and where we were there is something called giant hyssop, but it's in the mint family, and so when you pick it you can smell mint. I don't see any right in here.
All right.
But I can show you a bunch as we continue back home.
So, just tell me, so people understand, what's the process that you follow for drying them and making bouquets?
I can either hang them after I trim them up from a rack and let them dry, and just inside the house where it isn't too windy or certainly not damp. Or I can use a chemical called silica gel, which you can use to gently cover and try to fill in the shape of the flower as it is, and then cover it with the silica gel, which will then draw out the moisture and presumably leave the shape of the flower, because otherwise these will shrink just by hang drying. The grasses will look the same, but the flowers like that will totally lose the shape they have as fresh flowers, and they'll be pretty in a different way, is the point of all of it, I guess. So I do, in a kind of a flower like fireweed, I'll do some one way and some the other way. And it's like having two different things I can put in a bouquet.
Okay, what do you do with the bouquets?
I'm not sure. Many years ago I did this, and I sold them at like a holiday.
Rummage sale or something?
No, it was like in Jackson they have like a craft and holiday
fair
sale
craft.
for people to buy presents for people.
Right.
And then contributed the money I made to the local Bondurant Community Club.
Nice.
And this year I'm thinking about trying to figure out how to distribute them to healthcare workers.
Yeah.
And not knowing how to distribute.
Okay, well that's nice. Give them to the nurses and the
if I
such
can
at the
figure
hospital.
out a way to let them pick the one they want, or whether I pick the one to give, I'm not sure.
Well, you know, Mother, that I have a very strong love for God and purpose and such. And you know that you've got to know that I see this as a tremendous blessing, you know, for you and for me and for us to be able to even experience all of this stuff in good health, and to see something so wonderful and so beautiful. And
one other thing I would like to add is that these grasses are full out and have probably bloomed or are blooming with their seeds, but it's interesting to get different plants, whether it's flowers or whatever, to get them at a young stage, and then to go back and look at them after they have bloomed out and gone to seed. And sometimes the seed stage is certainly very different, but also interesting. So, and foliage, today I've been collecting some leaves that are starting to turn red for fall from the wild geraniums that, they're normally green when the flowers are out, but they turn a certain red when the flowers have gone. and it's a different possibility for a bouquet. I mean, you just keep your eye out for what is there, what has changed, what is usable, what is ugly, and what is pretty.
Well, that's my mom. Mom obviously loves flowers. I think, at a much more simplistic understanding of mine, I just think that this is amazing.
That
I think
it restores or it
I
helps
think
recover
this
it.
is amazing that all of this came after an incredibly devastating fire.
All right, now I'm going to ask you if you saw anything equivalent on our drive up to Green River Lakes.
No, nothing like this.
Nothing like this.
There's nothing. I haven't
It's
seen
got to
anything
be
like
the
this
fire and the lack of
ever.
grazing.
This is, to me, this is another example of abundantly, beyond anything I could ever think of or imagine. This is amazing. All right, let's go.